Hello everyone. We'll start with the HTML page. We're gonna name it index, and we will initialize with some code. We'll give it a title of flower, and create a few divs. First one will have an ID of flower, and it will contain all the other components. Then we'll create a petal container and a petal div. And now we'll create the CSS file and include the CSS file in our HTML. Save. Then we'll start with the body. Let's first make it live so we can see the changes as we go. Then the body will be will have a minimum height of 90 viewport height and a display flex so we can align everything to the center. Then we'll start with the flower. We'll give it a height of 20 VH and a width, a 40 VH and a width of 40 VH. It will be a square, and we'll give it a border of 1 pixel solid rate so we can see if it's working. We'll save our changes and there's nothing. Okay, we have to change it to an ID selector, so now we can see the change, and we'll make it a display flex like we did with the body so we can align its contents to the center and to the center from left and from top. Then we'll continue with the petal wrapper. It will have the similar height and width to the flower, and we'll make it a display flex. Okay, it works. Now we can go to the petal. We'll give this one a height of 20 VH and a width of 20 VH. It will be a square, and it will have 1/4 the size of the petal wrapper. Now we can see that it has 1/4 of the size. And then we'll give it a border radius of 20 VH. This will give it the top left corner, and the 0 for the we'll give it a 0 for the top right corner and 20 VH for the bottom right corner, and 10 VH for the bottom left corner. Then we'll give it a background image of radial gradient, and we'll start with white, then it will change into yellow, and this already looks beautiful, but we'll add an orange. Now it has more, it looks more beautiful. We will remove the border and add a box shadow so it will look more 3D. Now we will align justify the contents of the petal wrapper to the end, so when the flower forms it won't be deformed. And then we'll continue to the JavaScript file. We'll use this JavaScript file to add dynamically add petals to our flower. First, we will create a variable, and this will be the number of petal wrapper, which will be equal to the petals. We'll give it a 10, and we'll make it a constant so it doesn't change throughout our code. Then we'll start with a loop that iterates 10 times. And we'll create a variable petal wrapper, and this will be an HTML element, an HTML div element. Then we'll give it a class name, of petal wrapper, and then we'll give it a rotation, so all the petals shouldn't be over each other. They should be rotating some degree, so we'll style it. We'll give it a degree, and we'll give for each petal we'll start with 0 and increase by a degree that's equal for every petal. To know this, we'll divide 360 degrees which is a circle, to the number of petal wrappers we have, which is 10. So we'll have 36 degrees. So we'll multiply that with I. Then we will add this petal wrapper to our flower. As a child, we will call the append child method and pass our petal wrapper object. We'll save this, and we don't see anything here. And the problem is we should inspect it first, and there are a lot of petal wrappers, 10 actually, and they don't have any petals in them. That is their problem. So we forgot to add petals in our petal wrapper. We will add this by editing its inner HTML. We'll write div and give it a class name petal. Now we can see all the petals have a certain degree. They've turned and they're not together. They've formed a line. So we'll have to change the styling. We can inspect our code to see what the problems are. And now it's not the size of the flower. But if we give the petal wrapper an absolute position, they will all start from the center. Now it has formed into a flower. Now we'll add animations. We'll start with add keyframes and give it a name. We'll call it rotate, and it will start with 0 degrees, and we will not give it a final because we've already given it in our JavaScript code. And then we will add this animation to our petal wrapper. We'll give it an animation name of rotate. This isn't very descriptive, so we'll give it a descriptive name. We'll call it rotate petals. Then we'll give it animation duration, how long the animation is going to last, 1 second, and the animation iteration count, how many times it's gonna go. We give it 3 so we can see the problems if there are any. Now we can copy paste our code and change a few stylings so we can have an inner flower and 20 petals. We will add a selector for inner petal wrappers, and we will give it height and width of 30 VH. We will also do this for the petals, so they appear smaller in size. So the petals are in the center. We want them to be in the center of the flowers, in the center of the flower, but they're dispersed at the edge of the flower. So the problem is that the height and width of the petal wrapper is not the same. Now it's much better. Okay, I think we've fixed it. If you want to, you can add more center flowers as much as you want. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you in the next one.